Have you ever decided you were going to try a new paint on your palette? I've been using the same palette, this might be embarrassing, I'm not sure, for 20 years with the same paints on it. Everything I paint came out of that. And I decided recently I'm going to take out my Hooker's Green and I'm going to try Sap Green for a while. And so I thought, well, what's the difference and how will it react with my other paints? And we're going to look at that. Okay, so here is Sap Green. You have to clean your brush between each time, otherwise you won't get a true story. This is Hooker's Green. This one is cooler and a little darker. This one is much warmer. Now I've got the Hooker's Green on my brush, so I'm going to pull off some Hooker's Green over here. All of this paint is dry, so I'm going to add my yellow out here on the edge to see what that does. Okay, so here comes yellow, and I'm going to put it here. Okay, now I'm going to take the Sap Green and add yellow to it. Let's see what we get with that. Amazingly, this one starts out darker, but it actually got a little lighter. The complement of green is red. I have a cool red and a warm red here. So I'm going to take my Hooker's Green and I'm going to add some of my cool red, alizarin crimson. Let's see what we get here. Let's move it over here. When you add complements to each other, they dull the color. They get, it's called grays the color. It doesn't make a gray, but it does. Let's put a little white next to it and see what. Okay, so there. So it actually grays the color. It mutes it. Now when they're next to each other, the colors pop. But when you put one on top of the other, they do what's called grays the color. I clean my brush. Now I'm going to put the Sap Green up here. And I'm going to add that cool red to it. And it's going to go here. Now I'll put it here. That made it very dark. Let's add just a touch of white next to it. There. Okay. So far, the colors have not changed a lot. Let's come back here to the Hooker's Green and add the warmer red to it. This time we're going to add a little white in there. Okay, so this over here will be the warmer red. And now the Sap Green and the warmer red. I think I added more red in that mix than the other. So it's going to go here. Whoa. Yeah, that got dark. Now I'm going to take the Hooker's Green. I'm over here. And I'm going to add the turquoise to it. And now a little bit of yellow. Ooh, that's a beauty color up here. Yep, that's beautiful. And now the Sap Green with a little turquoise and a little yellow. Okay, learned a lot. There's only one way to see what your colors how a new color will react with your palette. And that's to go through the palette. Now, I usually would do like a checkerboard and then put paint in the squares. I really kind of wanted to see them next to each other. This one here has the most difference. This is the sap green. It starts out much darker than that. Now, I will come back and write what the combinations were on here. The reason I wanted to change from the Hooker's green to the sap green was really because of my trees that I paint. This Hooker's green, for whatever reason, it was harder to mix. It was harder to get the right color that I wanted for my trees. So will I never use Hooker's green again? No, I still love it. I think it's a beautiful color. But for my landscapes, my landscape paintings, I will be using much more sap green than the Hooker's green. There's the sap green and the Hooker's green. Sap green on the left with turquoise and the cad yellow. And then on the right, it got much darker. But this is where it got interesting. The sap green and the cad red deep. Because the Hooker's green and the cad red deep is still a green. It's an olive green. But the sap green with the cad red deep is a brown. And the same thing happened here when I mixed the sap green and alizarin crimson, which is a cool red. And then the Hooker's green and the alizarin crimson. And they both look sort of brown in here. But when you add the white to them, you can really see that they are different. This is the Hooker's green is still much more green, and the sap green turned much more brown. So that was what we really learned in this example. And this is what I do when I want to add color, a new color to my palette. And I mark it like this so I can really kind of analyze what happened during the change. I hope this was helpful. If it was, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I teach beginning painters. My goal is to teach 1,000 purpose-driven beginning painters through fundamentals, through elements of art, and through step-by-step painting classes. So if that is interesting to you, check in the description. The very first link will be the link for the Beginners Painting Club and my website. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Let's paint together real soon.